visit the family. Words are made of letter people. A, B, C, D, follow me.
The Letter People. Today, the story of Mr. V and the story of Mr. S.
Ah, very good. A very, very elegant touch, these violets, to my very, very, very valuable table. It should be a most enjoyable evening, having Mr. B, Mr. P, and Mr. Z dine with me. Let me see. I want everything to be perfect. I venture to say that my choice of victuals is most appropriate. We shall feast on foods that start with the same sound that starts Violet Velvet Vest. A salad with vinegar and oil dressing, followed by veal, venison, and vegetables. And for dessert, vanilla ice cream. Ah, such vision! But I think I shall sample just a bit. Very scrumptious. 6 o'clock. My guests will be arriving soon. I believe some music is in order. Ah, the sweet sobbing sounds of a violin. My very favorite music. Because violin starts with the same sound that starts Violet Velvet Vest. Ah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. My very, very, very favorite Violet Velvet Vest. I wear it every day. They're here. Come in. Usually Vaughn, my valet, answers the door, but he's on vacation.
Am I late? Am I late, Mr. V? Boy, oh boy, I thought I'd never get out of that barber shop.
You're on time. But where are the others, Mr. P and Mr. Z?
They'll be here just as soon as they finish bouncing my basketball. Boy, oh boy, look at that food. I hope you're serving bread and butter, Mr. V. I love bread and butter because they start with the same sound that starts beautiful buttons.
No, Mr. B. Tonight we dine only on foods that start with my sound. Violet Velvet Vest.
Speaking of your violet velvet vest, Mr. V.
Oh? Were we?
It's a beautiful vest, but it's kind of plain.
It's my very favorite vest. I wear no other.
But, dear Mr. V, it is easy to see your vest needs a bit of help from me. A velvet vest without buttons won't do. So I'll give some beautiful buttons to you. My beautiful buttons, you will find, make your velvet vest the best of its kind. Come on, Mr. V, let's put some beautiful buttons on that violet velvet vest of yours.
But I like my vest just the way it is. I don't want any beautiful buttons on it.
Oh, but you do, you do. Yes, you really do. You'll see how very, very grand it looks with beautiful buttons.
I hope Mr. V's got a passel of pickles. Pickles are perfect.
I'd rather have zucchini. Zucchini is zippy.
Now, doesn't that look better?
Not really.
Howdy, partners. What's going on?
I've made Mr. V's vest look better. Just look at all those beautiful buttons.
I liked my violet velvet vest the way it was.
Well, that's a mighty pretty pattern, all right, Mr. B. But if you'll pardon me, I've got just the thing to make that violet velvet vest really perfect. Some pointy patches.
But I don't want any pointy patches, Mr. P.
Dear Mr. V, it is easy to see. Your vest needs a bit of help from me. A velvet vest without pointy patches won't do, so I'll give some pointy patches to you. Pointy patches, you will find, make your velvet vest the best of its kind. There you are, partner. Pointy patches. Now your vest is really perfect.
It was perfect without pointy patches and beautiful buttons.
Something isn't quite right. There's something missing from your violet velvet vest. Zowie, I've got it.
Oh, no.
Dear Mr. V, it is easy to see your vest needs a bit of help from me. A velvet vest without zipping zippers won't do, so I'll give some zipping zippers to you. Zipping zippers you will find make your velvet vest the best of its kind. By zingo, those zippers sure add zest to your vest, Mr. V. Go take a look in the mirror.
Oh, no. This will never do. Gentlemen, I appreciate your efforts, but my violet velvet vest looked very grand without your beautiful buttons, pointy patches, and zipping zippers. I don't need them. Would you please remove them from my very favorite violet velvet vest?
Very well, if that's what you want.
It's what I want. Easy there. Be careful. This is my very favorite violet velvet vest. You might tear it. Oh, no. Stop. Wait.
Oh, this is bad. bad?
Ruined! My very favorite violet velvet vest is ruined. This is terrible. Terrible. I'm supposed to be on the catching game tomorrow, but I can't go looking like this. I can't go on television with a torn vest. I don't want anybody to see it. Never, ever. What am I going to do?
We could put back our beautiful buttons, pointy patches, and zipping zippers.
Or you could wear another vest.
No, no, no. That won't do. This is my very favorite vest. My best. I wear it every day. Look how you've ruined the left side of my vest. That makes me angry.
We're really sorry, Mr. V.
We didn't mean to tear your vest.
It was an accident.
Ah, very well. I accept your apologies, but what am I going to do about my torn vest? I can't have anyone looking at the torn side of my vest.
But Mr. V, you have to be on the catching game. We need you to help us make words.
I will not be on the catching game. I will not help you make words, because I'm never, ever going to be in another word again. Then no one will ever see the torn side of my violet velvet vest.
Boy, oh boy, Mr. V, you can't do that. What's going to happen to all the words that start with the same sound that starts violet velvet vest?
Like violin, and vegetables, and vanilla. Ah, Mr. B, we wouldn't have that variety of words anymore, would we?
You'll have to think of something else, Mr. V.
I've got it. The only time anyone can see the left side of my vest is if I stand at the end of a word. And so, I will never end a word.
On your left side, like this, Mr. V?
Yes. See how you're hiding the rips in my vest?
Say, that's a pretty powerful idea, Mr. V. Never ending a word.
And if you make your sound only at the start or in the middle of a word, somebody will always be there to hide the left side of your vest.
A bang-up idea, Mr. V. Never ending a word. Now that you've settled that, let's eat.
Mr. B, how can you think of food at a time like this?
By golly, you're right, Mr. V. I'd sure like to give some beautiful buttons to someone else.
And I'd like to pin my pointy patches on someone else.
And I'd like to zip my zipping zippers on someone else. Who could it be?
I know. Boy, oh boy, I know. Mr. S. We'll stitch him on his super socks.
A zipping good idea, Mr. B.
That's plenty powerful, all right. Let's push off pronto.
Wait, what about your dinner? Such a shame to let these vitamin-packed vegetables go to waste. But then, I could use a little morsel myself. I'll try a little of this veal. And this venison, and these vegetables. And maybe it will take my mind off my torn violet velvet vest.
Man, oh man, this superhero business sure is hard on my super socks. Seems like I have to sew them up 6 or 7 times a day. Every time I slip out to save someone, my super socks somehow get torn. Like the time Silly Sally seized Sizzle's sister and slit my socks with her scissors. She would have snipped all day, but thanks to me and my super socks, everything turned out swell.
Boy, oh boy, what are you doing, Mr. S?
Sewing up my super socks, but I finished. See, they're good as new. Aren't they sensational?
Yes, they're beautiful, all right. Beautiful, beautiful super socks. But we can make them better.
Make them better? Oh, no, my super socks are super just the way they are.
Pardon my preaching, Mr. S., but putting it practically, your super socks could use a few pointy patches if you ask me.
And some zipping zippers.
And some beautiful, beautiful buttons.
Pointy patches, zipping zippers, beautiful buttons on my spiffy super socks. Stitching splotches on my super socks will spoil them. No, thank you, sirs. They're quite splendid now.
But, dear Mr. S., it is easy to see your socks need a bit of help from me.
And me.
And me.
Super socks without beautiful buttons
And pointy patches.
And zipping zippers.
just won't do. So I will give some beautiful buttons,
And pointy patches.
And zipping zippers to you.
beautiful buttons,
Pointy patches.
And zipping zippers.
you will find make your super socks the grandest kind. Just feast your peepers on that, Mr. S.
Where are my super socks? I can't see them anymore. They've slithered south. I want my super socks back.
You've still got your socks, partner, but now they're plastered with pointy patches, beautiful buttons, and zipping zippers.
Look, I don't want to be a spoiled sport, but I don't want pointy patches, beautiful buttons, or zipping zippers. I want my super socks. Please take these swatches off.
Oh, all right.
Pulling these patches off sure makes me feel bad. But there you go, Mr. S. All my pointy patches are pulled.
And so are all my beautiful buttons. It's sort of sad.
You're straggling with your snipping, Mr. Z. I don't need these zipping zippers.
Sorry, but you do, Mr. S. Look, if you wear just one zipping zipper on your super socks, I'll give you something you'll really like. How would you like to share my sound?
The same sound that starts zipping zippers?
Right. Whenever you wear a zipping zipper on your super socks, I'll let you share my sound.
You mean you're giving me your sound, Mr. Z?
Well, not quite. I'll let you use my sound sometimes. But when you do, you have to wear a zipping zipper on your super socks.
But I already have a sound. The same sound that starts super socks.
But now you'll have two. Your sound and my sound. Sometimes. Here's how it will work. Just a minute. Will you two go and get Mr. H and Ms. I? That way I'll show Mr. S how I'll share my sound with him.
On our way, pal. Come on, B, old buddy. Let's push off.
Now, Mr. S, as I was saying, I'll let you share my sound, but only sometimes, and only in the middle or at the end of a word, never at the beginning of a word. Only I can make my Z sound at the beginning of a word. How does that sound?
Sounds super, Mr. Z. Okay, I agree. I'll wear a zipping zipper on my super socks sometimes. And when I do, I may use your Z sound. Who knows? It may come in handy someday. Me being a superhero, you know.
Mr. H, Ms. I, just in time to help me show Mr. S how he's going to share my sound.
Two sounds. That's incredible, Mr. Z.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a word that will let Mr. S use my Z sound. Ms. I, whose socks are those?
Those are Mr. S's super socks. They're his socks.
Right, his socks. And that's the word we're going to make. We'll use those sock boxes over there for clue boxes. Mr. H, if you get in the starting clue box, Ms. I, you get in the catching clue box, and Mr. S, you get in the ending clue box. Now, let's quickly review sounds. Mr. H gets his sound from the same sound that starts horrible hair.
And I get my sound from the same sound that starts itchy itch.
And I get my sound from the same sound that starts super socks.
That's true, Mr. S, but remember our agreement. Right now, you're wearing my zipping zippers.
And I'm at the end of a word, so that means I get to use Mr. Z's Z sound.
That's right. As long as you're in the middle or at the end of a word and wearing zipping zippers on your super socks, you can use my sound. All right, letter people, let's try it. Make your sounds catch.
His.
Try it again.
His. Wow! I used your sound, Mr. Z. I'm really a superhero now. Two sounds.
Well, it's sort of zingy, all right. But remember, Mr. S, you can only use my sound sometimes, but never at the beginning of a word.
I'll remember. Only in the middle or at the end of a word, and only when I'm wearing a zipping zipper on my super socks. I won't forget, Mr. Z. Thanks a lot. Now I'll stuff these zipping zippers in my secret satchel for safekeeping.
This calls for a celebration. Let's all go down to my Itsy Witsy Ice Cream Club. And I'll treat all of you to a tall, cool, frosty ice cream soda.
Come and meet the letter people. Come and visit the family. Words are made of letter people. A, B, C, D, follow me.